Crowd, here we go again. Elimination. Elimination. Trying to get set. Get ready. Alrighty then. Yes, sir. Okay, I'm gonna start now, and only because of there's nobody on yet. Should I wait? Should I go? I think I'm gonna start. Alright. I think I want to start. Let me see. Let me see. Listen. So, welcome back. I told y'all I have, sorry, that I have a series that I'm doing. And this is episode 2 of that series of David and Goliath and Underdogs, the Misfits, and the Art of Battling Giants, based off of Malcolm Gladwell's book. All right, is what this episode is all about. All right, so this episode 2, is bringing on. It's called Rewriting the Odds, the real story of David and Goliath. And you do not want to miss it. So let me get started. All right, welcome back, Full Court Dreamers, and welcome back, Full Court Dreamers, and my underdogs. This is the Underdog Voice, and I am your host, Coach Q. And today we're going to dive deeper into one of the most famous underdog stories of all times. If you ever never heard it before, but I think everyone heard this story before, and it's David versus Goliath. And remember, this is episode 2 of our 7-episode series based off of Malcolm Gladwell's book, David and Goliath, the Underdog, Misfits, and the Art of Battling Giants. All right, so listen, but this isn't just a story that that you think you know. Today, I want you to see David as more than just a boy who got lucky. I want you to see him as a true favorite. That's right, a true favorite. But first, let me set the scene for y'all out there. All right, so picture yourself on a battlefield, right? And dust swirling all in the air, and it's a valley separating two armies, right? Tension is so thick that you can almost feel it in your chest, right? One side stands the mighty Goliath, a hulking giant wearing armor from head to toe, a sword in one hand and a spear the size of a weaver's beam in the other hand, right? Every step he takes is a statement of power and echoing through the valley like thunder. On the other side, though, you have a lone figure, much smaller in comparison, dressed not in armor, but in simple shepherd clothing, right? His name is David. Okay, so no sword, no spear, no shield, just a shepherd, staff, and a sling. hanging loosely by his side. That's all he had. So David stepped forward. His glaze is focused on the giant, right? He's locked in, right? Like most underdogs do. We're locked in, right? So he's not trembling. He's not faltering. He's calm. That's what we do as underdogs. We calm, right? In that moment, we're calm, right? So David, he's calm. What made David so confident? Why did he step into a situation that seems impossible, which with such unshakable faith, right? So that's what we're going to explore today. This is not a story of a lucky boy and an unlucky giant. This is a story of a master technician, a man trapped by his own strength. All right. So we're going to talk about Goliath real quick. So Goliath was he was terrifying for a reason. Goliath, like he stood tall, right? He stood nearly 10 feet tall, right? He was a beast, right? Covered in armor, you know, wielding weapons designed to crush and pierce and all and was the ultimate warrior, basically. But he was really he was really as invincible as he seemed. And Michael Gladwell tells us there's more to the story. You see, Goliath's size, which seemed like his greatest strength, might have actually been his greatest weakness. There's a term in the medical sense called, I hope I pronounced this right, and if I didn't, I'm totally sorry. Uh, I think it's acromegaly, something like that. I think that's what it's called. Sorry if I mispronounced it. But what it is a condition caused by a brain tumor, a tumor in the pituitary gland that causes excessive growth. I think that's what it is. Yeah, but it causes excessive growth, right? People with this condition often have poor vision and can be slow to react. Right. So this means Goliath's imposing height may have been a curse in disguise for him. So he might not have been able to see clearly, right, or move as quickly as he needed to. So, in other words, Goliath wasn't as strong as he appeared. And David knew this. That's why he wasn't scared to go down there and fight him, because he knew this, right? So he didn't see the giant in front of him. He saw a man weighted down with all his armor, right? A man who couldn't move swiftly, a man who would struggle against a fast, agile opponent. David saw the truth, but did we see the truth? Now, let's talk about David's weapon of choice, the sling. Most people would laugh at the idea of using a sling against a giant warrior, right? That's what most people would think. Against a giant warrior armed with teeth. but they be dead wrong, because back then the sling was like an artillery units of their day. Like, it was capable of launching a stone over 150 miles per hour. Think about that. So to put it in perspective, a stone hurled by a skilled sling could easily crack a skull. Could easily crack your skull, right? So David he did not just grab a random weapon. He chose a tool he was, he was expert with, right? So he didn't step into the valley thinking that he was about to fight a traditional duel. he knew he was stepping into a battle um, of strategy, right? So he knew what he was doing. He knew he had the advantage over Goliath, but we didn't. Why do we think Goliath had the advantage? Because he was big and strong and ugly and muscular and had all the great weapons everybody else had, right? That's what we thought, right? And that's what everybody else thought when David decided to go fight Goliath, right? And he ain't had no chance. So, but David knew his advantage was his speed, his precision, and his confidence, and using a tool that could strike before Goliath could even had time to swing his sword. David turned the battle into a long range engagement, making Goliath's size, his armor, and his brute strength useless. He was never going to fight Goliath head to head, because he knew he didn't have to. That wasn't a contest. This wasn't a contest of strength for David. It was a contest of wit and skill, something that Goliath did not have. So, what do all this mean for us as underdogs? Well, it teaches us a valuable lesson about understanding the game we're playing. And too often we let others define the term of engagement for us. They tell us what's valuable, what's strong, what's weak. But like David, we have to see beyond appearances. All right. So think about it. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever gone up against someone, right, who had all the credentials, all the tools, all the resources, and still found yourself coming out on top? That's because you didn't fight on their terms. You chose to fight on your own. Now, as an athlete or a coach, that might mean changing your strategies against your opponent, a superior opponent. Instead of trying to match them player by player, maybe you use your depth and your speed to your advantage, and to exhaust them. Maybe you exploit their weakness and hitting beneath their strength. In the business world, it might mean competing with a unique angle that the bigger companies aren't even thinking about. That's what we have to do. We have to play our own fight and not everybody else's. That's what we have to do as underdogs. Let me tell you a story here. And I always got stories. Us coaches always have stories. So I'm gonna tell you a little story about a moment that I had. I remember coaching a game where the opponent's team had one of the best shooters and one of the best players in the country, and not too long ago, we played them again. First time we played them, we shut her down. The first half, second half, she came out and just killed us. But so, second time we played them, everybody told us what they was going to beat us again. But everybody was told us to focus on her and shutting her down. But we didn't, because we learned that the first time. So instead, we put pressure on their ball handlers, and she was one of the ball handlers. So we did put some pressure on her. It made it impossible for her sometimes to get the ball by putting pressure on the other ball handlers. So we cut down her possessions from getting the ball. So we made their strengths irrelevant, right? We made her irrelevant, right? By targeting the weaknesses that they didn't, even though they had. That's what we did. So we didn't have to shut their star player down. She's still scored, I think, 29 or 20 something points. I think they had like 30 something. Because we cut off her lifeline. That's what we did. She scored, but what did everybody else do? So, look on that coach's face when they realized what was happening. It was too late. It was too late. That moment, You know, when you redefine the battle, that's the moment you know you turned into David. And not because you're small, but because you're smart. And I think I'm a very smart coach. Sorry about that. So here's the takeaway. Being an underdog is about overcoming insurmountable odds. It's about changing our odds entirely. It's about battling differently, finding ways to uh, make your weakness irrelevant, and your strengths undeniable. Right. So the next time you face a Goliath, a better basketball team, football team, whatever, uh, somebody that's applying for the same job you are, bigger companies, if you got a business. So next time you face that Goliath, whether it's a tough opponent, challenging project, or even a personal battle, ask yourself this question: am I trying to win on their terms, or am I setting my own rules? Because when you set your own rules, you control the game. Now, again, this is a story about David and Goliath. This is the second episode, and this is series is based off of Malcolm Gladwell's book, which is a great read. Underdog's Misfit and the Art of Battling Giants. I want to thank you for watching this episode. And in our next episode, we're going to talk about what it means to turn your weakness into a strength and how some of the greatest achievements in history came from those who embrace their disadvantages. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Until next time, I'm Coach Q. Have a great night, and I'm out.